Hi, friends. This will be the last episode of season 3 of The Mother of It All. We will be back in September with more incredible guests and episodes. If you'd like to still hear our voices over the summer, you can subscribe as a paid subscriber on Apple or on Substack for just $5 a month and get access to all of our back catalog of paid bonus episodes, as well as a paid bonus summer episode or two, which will be coming out soon. Thank you so much for supporting us and listening to us for season 3. If you enjoyed this season, please rate, review us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen, and have a lovely summer.
I'm Miranda Rake.
And I'm Sarah Wheeler, and this is The Mother of It All, where we take on motherhood through the lens of culture and culture through the lens of motherhood.
It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you. How was your long weekend?
It was really good. We went to the beach with a bunch of families and
for like overnight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we left Friday midday. And so it was how many families? I don't know, a bunch of families. There were like 10 kids. Nellie was the youngest.
10
kids. 10 kids.
That's a lot.
Nellie was the littlest. And 2 dogs. And
how many bedrooms?
Not enough. There
Never
were
enough.
some. So we did this Weasley thing where we were like, there's a bunk bedroom where all the kids like to sleep, but we were like, well, our kids will sleep in the bedroom with us. Like, we're okay with that. And because that's kind of like also what our kids prefer, where they sleep better, you know? And like, I think the other kids are mostly girls and they all wanted to be in this room together, and our kids didn't care as much about that. And so
girls think.
But so then some of the parents of those kids basically then took like the weird, like the pull-out couch in the hall, or like one person set up a tent in the lawn.
You used your kids as an excuse to get a bedroom. I mean, this is fraught. I'm a big like Airbnb bedroom arrangement truther. I think that as a society, we lie a lot to ourselves and to each other about how much space we need in an Airbnb. And then when everybody gets there, it's like, I mean, we all saw that the 4th bedroom was just a mat in the like open loft connected to everything else. And like, if we'd been, able to face a harsh reality, we would have been like, some motherfucker has to basically sleep in everyone else's space. Yes. Who is it going to be?
Yes, right.
And,
and what are we going to give you for that? Right.
Exactly. Like, exactly. Right. Does that person get to take a nap while someone takes care of their kids, or pay less or something?
Pay less for sure.
Yeah. I think it follows. I would like to see sleeping arrangements in Airbnb go the way of other societal institutions where we've decided to be more honest. Why can't we take like monogamy, lessons from the monogamy conversation to like, we're not all going to have a separate bedroom. It is going to be complicated, but we can talk about it. We can be upfront.
I just speak. This is a real diversion, but the monogamy thing reminded me.
No, this is the topic.
That I had a really delightful conversation with a friend of mine recently who's like more in a circle of couples who are like always trying to open their relationships. And I was like, he's very open-minded. Like, he's a big, just for the sake of time, I'll use the shorthand of he goes to Burning Man, like religiously. So, and then he was like, we were having coffee and he was like, it always ends in divorce. Like, that's where it always goes. And I was like, this is so validating for me, because I can't say it because it's not for me. But he was like, a lot of his friends are. And he's like, they open it up
always ends
and then
in divorce, but it does. I mean, I've had other people make this observation. Like a friend said to me, like, she's like, I feel like all of my friend, or she has a friend who keeps dating these like non-monogamous women who are in marriages. And he's like, I just feel like they all actually want to get divorced. And so it's difficult because like, I don't want to help them get divorced or like be the person they're now with. I thought we were just doing like, non-monogamy.
Right.
I mean, I think that there's something you can really empathize with there, right? First of all, that like
Totally.
sometimes the road to divorce involves a lot of self-discovery,
Sure.
right? And you do in good faith say, I wonder if this will be a way that our marriage will work.
Mm-hmm.
And then it doesn't, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that just based on my own experience with other kinds of denial,
Yeah.
to go back to the Airbnb, like being, yeah, sure, I'll sleep on the couch.
Right.
Right. Like the denial and
Yes.
that of the way that like the work that we will do to avoid having to do something really hard.
Yeah.
Like say, I really
I
actually
don't
want a
want to sleep,
divorce.
or I don't want to sleep in the hallway.
I
Yeah.
don't want to sleep in the hallway. I do want a divorce.
That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like,
All right. Well, we
yeah.
figured it out.
Okay.
Okay.
I feel like we solved a lot in a short
We
amount of
solved
time.
a lot. We're
Yeah.
out of ideas. Let's bring on our guest.
Speaking of friction maxing.
Speaking of, okay. So, on the podcast, she is known as super guest K-Jam. But in the larger world, I believe they call her Kathryn Jezer-Morton. She's a journalist. She's a sociologist. She is the author of the Cut's Brooding column on family and so much more. Her first book, The Story of Your Life, How Social Media Shapes the Way We Experience Everything, will be out in August. We are so happy to have you back here, K-Jam. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for inviting me back. I am so happy to be here.
Did I get that right? Is it August? Is the book coming out in August?
Yeah. I felt like you, that was so like well prepared. Yes. Everything was right on.
Yeah. It was the truth, all we care about is the truth here. Kathryn, who's caring for your kids in Montreal where the bagels are small and the children are bilingual?
The children are at school, right now.
École?
École?
Did I do that?
École. They're at école. That's great. And my kids are big. Like they're old.
You're
15
nice.
and 12. Like they do a lot of caring for themselves. Like even when they're home, my it's like light touch these days. Like they have bicycles, they're off. I have to say I am entering a very blessed time of parenthood.
Okay, so paint this picture for me. There are bicycles. There are light touches. What do you're just like handing them some deodorant every once in a while, or do they do the deodorant themselves?
They do deodorant, but they don't shower. So I'm like saying you have to shower. When was the last time you showered? There's that.
Okay.
A lot of it is just like they complain about how there aren't enough snacks in the house. I go to the grocery store every day at least once. It's on foot. I have one of these like enviable, annoying lifestyles where I walk to the grocery store. But that also means that I can't. Don't be
ashamed. Just treasure it.
I'm treasuring it, but I can't buy more than I can carry, which is becoming a problem.
Yeah, because they
actually I'm thinking about
around the clock.
Yeah, like those like the old French lady like carts.
Are you going to get the cart
here?
Oh yeah,
I might have to just because I can't procure enough food to satisfy my children in one.
We got carts.
It's just taking too much time.
Even in Oakland, we got carts. I think a cart is cool. It's like, I think on a scale of like, I work in education, and I always promised myself when I was a young thing going into schools with like wearing heels still and stuff like that I wouldn't, and carrying all my bags, that I would never be that old teacher with like the rolly, like carton behind her. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a milk carton, but it's on wheels and it's got a little handle like a suitcase. And, I think the shopping cart is cooler than that.
Yeah, I think it's cool. And like they come in patterns. Like, I don't know.
Oh.
I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely imminent that I buy one. But so yeah, a big part of my relationship to my kids is food. It's food stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And how is that changing your relationship to yourself?
Ooh,
all that reduced care.
We're only like 8 minutes into the show, Tara. Jeez.
No, this is why we love this podcast.
Is Kathryn there? Can I speak to Kathryn? Yeah.
I would say like I love to eat and I love to drink. Like I'm a big I'm a woman of appetites.
Yeah, same.
And I would say I eat more than I've ever eaten in my life right now because I'm just loving the like abundanza mode of feeding my children all this food and them eating it up. And it is like I am realizing that I am 43 and like the choices I'm making are consequential. I'm trying to use language that's like body neutral.
Okay.
All I'm trying to say is
we can edit it out.
I'm like it's just it's a time of feasting in my life,
Yeah.
and that's like not a non-consequential thing, and I'm just living with it. I'm accepting it. I'm trying to have a good time. Because it's fun to like make a big meal and your kids are like, "Oh, this is so good. Like, I love this meal." And then everyone's like, "Yeah." And it's also like I have time to eat. Like, I sit at the table. I don't have to get up. No one needs me to do anything. Like,
Right.
it's very like farniente. I'm telling you that I'm enjoying it. Whereas, like the earlier years, I mean, when my kids were little, like my body was smaller because I didn't have time to eat. And I was always doing, eating was not a pleasurable, relaxing act. And now it is. And I got to
You're
say,
just like grabbing some calories, moving on.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, I'm loving life. I'm feeling like, a woman of leisure a little bit around my meal times, which is great. I have to say it's great. So that's how it's relating to my relationship with myself.
I love that. I like, there's like this term, this Spanish term, like sobremesa, is like after the meal, you kind of like lounging at the table. That's like one of my favorite spaces to inhabit, like both physically and like psychologically and like spiritually. And I feel like, right, I'm not even at the point where I get to really sit down and have the meal. But my dream life would be not only that, but the sobremesa, like the just like, okay, now everybody's done. They're doing their own thing. I'm going to like finish my glass of wine and until a doctor tells me like you stop eating, like whatever, stop eating an entire box of C's candies in bed, I'm going to do it.
There you go.
No, listen, this time is coming for you. Like,
I know it is. That's why I'm enjoying it. Yeah, oh, you mean, not the time the doctor tells you to stop.
No.
You mean
like eating and sitting around and relaxing.
Yeah, the sobremesa. The
teenagers.
It's coming for you. It's going to be so nice. Yeah, until the gout comes for me, I'm at the table.
Exactly. Right. It's like, it's okay. They say, right. It's like maiden, mother, crone, but then somewhere in there, you have to add in like mother of teenagers and then gout.
The sobremesa years.
Yeah. Mother of teenagers, sobremesa, gout.
I think it goes with the
new taxonomy coming.
Like that's your item maybe for that time of your life. Like the little
right, like if there was a little
she'll
action figure of Kathryn, mother of teenagers, what would the accessories be?
Yeah,
you'd have
also the cart. I gotta say, you guys were saying, that it's cool to have a cart, but I propose that it doesn't have to be cool. It could be wise, as we age into our kind of womanhood. Like maybe we're just like wiser,
Yeah.
Maybe wisdom is cool.
Or who cares if it's cool, right? You don't care that it's cool anymore, which is cool. Nothing cooler than not caring.
Yeah, right? yeah.
Nonchalance, as the children talk about all the time.
Perfect.
Well, Kathryn, I want to talk to you about how your year is going, particularly in terms, of course, of friction maxing. You had this piece come out in your column in The Cut in January where you made a New Year's resolution to make 2026 the year of friction maxing, particularly as a parent. And I'm wondering if you could define that for any listeners who, were, I don't know, not using the internet for the month of January and did not see the like absolute online maelstrom that this concept caused. And also tell us, how's your year of friction maxing going 6 months in?
Yeah. So to define it, friction maxing is basically the idea of resisting like every possible convenience technology and trying to kind of locate a little bit of your own humanity in the things that are currently being kind of like programmed into obsolescence by all the apps that were being sold, and AI too. So like the things that are like so conveniently now you can outsource to sort of commit to doing them yourself, basically. And yeah, so that was my proposal in January. And, I've talked about this a lot. Like the column did go viral, and I have done, I don't know, probably a couple dozen interviews about it. And the process of talking about it has really changed the way that I think about it. It's really kind of become more of like an almost like humanistic philosophy than like a set of material practical concerns.
Yeah.
Even though it is both things for sure.
Yeah.
And that makes it hard. Like it's hard to talk to like, whatever, like someone's just trying to write like a quick hit on an idea.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
They want
no, but
3
like
tips for friction maxing.
like
Yeah.
resist the urge to turn this into a bunch of points. Like, let's go deep on it. And they're like, I don't want to talk about this with you. Like most of my conversations have not, I think I have ended up kind of not alienating, but like proposing a definition of the term that the person who wanted to talk to me like that, they were like, no, that's not really what I meant. I feel like you guys are up for this journey with me.
Let's do it.
So like
let's
last
alienate
week I
people.
did. Yeah, let's. I'm
We're not afraid.
Always fighting with my urge to alienate. Last week I did this live event with this old friend of mine, Joe Weisenthal, in New York.
I saw that and was
And
jelly.
it was really fun. And in that conversation, he sort of proposed yet another way of looking at it. And I want to kind of propose this to you, because to me, this is the friction maxing iteration that I'm right now the most interested in. He's basically like, there's this slurrification of time itself, because there's no, like, our days aren't necessarily kind of broken into routine chunks anymore. And this has to do with the nature of our work. It has to do with working remotely. It has to do with like all of the things about contemporary life, especially in a family. And then the fact that after school, there's often multiple things. As your kids get older, you have more than one kid. You're talking about places that people need to be, a lot of juggling. Which really kind of complicates the idea of like, okay, dinner time, we're all going to be home. We're going to eat together, for example, or bedtime, or just like any time of day is sort of, it's less discrete, and it's more sort of in this kind of continuum with the rest of the day. And a lot of this is just being on your phone and kind of being in this affective state of mild distraction. And you're not like necessarily scrolling Instagram for fun. You're literally like, no, I'm just dealing with this quick thing. No, I'll be right there. I just have to, like, you're dealing with a million quick things.
It's like a constant buzz throughout the entire day. Like when you say slurrification, that's what I think about, that there's this like kind of amorphous quality to my entire day that involves the presence of my phone.
Yes.
And like the internet, right? Like just your computer,
and
your
the
phone,
internet
the
at
tabs,
large.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is like how life is going. This is like life just humming along, an ordinary day. And you're on your phone, you're doing your shit. And then maybe like Joe's example was like, okay, so the two different kids have two different activities after school. So one parent is like, hey, we'll pick up dinner. Don't worry about us. And then the other parent's like, okay, I'll order something. And like everyone eats and everyone reconvenes at the end of the day. But like that could be almost every night if you didn't make any sort of attempt to push back against it. And we're just trying to get our shit done. No one is doing anything wrong. No one is being a lazy ass. It's really just like life is sweeping us into this undertow of slurrified time.
Yeah, and I'm taking my little, like, like today, Ramona's going, it's an early release. Ramona's going to Shiloh's, and then I'm going to pick her up. And then, my husband's taking Max to guitar, and like, then I'm going to go get him and take him to get a gift for his teacher. But like that whole time, I will be either literally or like mentally on my phone a little bit in my little mobile office and social world, kind of like having that be the the backdrop to all of these
Because you're
activities.
tracking so many things. I mean,
Yeah.
Kathryn, I feel like what you're
Yeah.
getting at, it's like
Right. And
when
texting with
I'm
my husband and
when I'm in my day, like when I'm thinking about this long weekend that we just had, and I didn't have to know what time it was. We were all in this house.
yeah.
The place to go was the beach, which was right out the back door. Like, obviously, my youngest is too young to be on the beach by herself, but it wasn't like as stressful. The kids weren't going to the beach without a grown up. Like, it was like what felt so free was like, I plugged my phone in by the side of my bed and didn't look at it,
in its
except for
little
at the
shell.
end of the day, like, was like, "What time is it?" You know, and
Yeah.
someone would
It's
eventually say, like, "Oh, the kids should start to get ready for bed." So you would kinda do that, and that to me is the ultimate vacation because in my day-to-day, I do so many different things, I wear so many different hats, and we've got yeah, school activities, friends. Like I am a freelancer, so I do like 8 different jobs
mhm,
plus
mhm.
PTA. And
Yes.
so I am constantly setting alarms on my phone, like
Mhm.
7 minutes, right? Like remind me to leave for preschool pickup in 7 minutes. Or like
Right.
don't, you know, and I'm like checking my watch and I'm like, okay, what did I miss? Which ball did I drop? Like, okay, what's it gonna be? And then I think this part of it is like texting is such a
Yes.
nightmare, and it's like you've written, I think, about that, like,
Yes.
they pile
Yes.
up, and my husband does not deal with this level of,
No.
like, it's so the volume of texts to
They're
respond to
insane.
is
And when people say, like, "Get
unbelievable.
off social media," I'm like, "Social media actually isn't my problem.
I don't have
It's
it on my
Yeah.
texting.
phone, it's
It's
the
texting."
texts, and it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know how to do someone tell me if there's a way to mark as unread because, like, that is also my nightmare, you know?
You can at least on an Android, you can, like,
I don't think I
pull
can.
something to the top.
Yeah, but it's
So,
that, it's like
anyway.
I have to
Okay, but
respond
wait,
right
wait,
now or
wait.
I never will. Yeah.
We got too passionate too soon. I feel like
It was too
Kathryn is still
exciting.
weaving her
It's too
complex
exciting.
tapestry
No.
of
This is like
of
really good.
philosophy.
You understand what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. That's
Um,
a long way to say we fucking get it.
Yeah.
Go on.
It's
yes.
too real.
But so, right. So we're just going through our days
Yes.
and trying to get everything done, being just people in the world. And it's this slightly uncomfortable admission that I'm having to make that like, if we don't assert, like, I just think about like throwing a wrench into the gears of the day
Yeah.
and just being like, yeah, at 7 o'clock, we're going to be home. We're eating dinner. Somebody is making dinner. And this feels, I recognize that this feels vaguely conservative.
Mhm.
This idea
Mhm.
that, like, if we don't, we need to sit down and everybody needs to, like, yes, I get that there's a way in which this could be read as a sort of a retrogressive way of thinking.
Right.
But
Norman
I'm just,
Rockwell porn.
right. I'm just looking, I don't think that that is in fact like inevitably the direction or the sort of the conclusion of this. It could be anything. It could be dinner. It could be literally anything, just an assertion of this is a discrete part of the day
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
something else is happening and we're going to do it like this on a pretty regular basis.
Mhm.
And I think
Mhm.
when our kids are little, there's a natural way that this kind of is part of life, at least for me, because it really had to be. Like, we were very into bedtime and we
Mhm.
did it for selfish reasons. We were like, we need to have time when they're asleep. And so we were
Mhm.
one of those families that was like, sorry, gotta go, bedtime. And people would be like, wow, you guys are so uptight. And we were like, yep, like, fuck you. Like, this is for me. It's not for
Right.
anybody else.
Yeah.
And so that was a thing, that really kind of structured the rest of our,
And then what did you
second
do
part
when
of
your
our
kids
day.
were in bed? Just scroll on
Then
your phones next to each other?
yeah, and then we would just
No.
check out Instagram for like 2
No,
hours
but
and it
this
would be
was
so
like
relaxing.
10 years ago too. Is like there's a different yeah.
Yeah, we weren't really honestly on our phones as much then. I was not nearly as busy. No, we would like, I mean, whatever. We would watch a movie. We would like drink a glass of wine, just hang out. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
anything special.
So
But it
I
felt like
wanna
quiet.
That is
make a
special though.
note
It's like the
here.
best moment of the
It is.
day.
But you said watch a movie, and I do think that, like, following your line of thinking here, and also the kind of maybe you've left it behind, but the kind of the friction maxing version 1, which was kind of talking more about these points of inconvenience and boredom, where we like kind of the choice that is kind of being made for us. This is where like you have to throw a wrench in things, is convenience and lack of friction. And we're being told that like, you know, in those moments, if we choose, you know, like choosing friction's becoming harder and harder, so we have to do it actively, right? Like you have to work to be like, yes, I could afford a $10 Uber, but we're gonna see where if this bus takes us closer to home, and I'm gonna handle my kid, you know, being a little whiny about it, right? Obviously there's some situations where like take the fucking Uber, but you know, but that is like also friction maxing as a parent. So there's that piece of it too. But I also just want to say something about screens. Because you mentioned watching a movie. I would say when you're talking about this kind of Norman Rockwell time with the family, one of the ways my family is doing that these days is by watching a British kind of game show called Taskmaster. And do you know Taskmaster?
I've
It's
read
so
about
good.
it. Yeah.
It's so good. It's kind of like if Joe Rogan wasn't like kind of masculine American coded. It's like they just kind of like do silly challenges, and it's all comedians. It's really funny. I don't think any of us can understand like 50% of what everyone's saying because they all have various British accents, but we get it. And that's something we've been really enjoying as a family, like all four of us. But I think we have this old kind of outdated schema as parents around screen time of like, if you're going to have that intentional family time, it cannot involve a screen, right? That screens are bad. And I think we've gotten to, I do think that there are some things that are really lovely about, sure, if we were all outside throwing a ball around, we'd get different things than we do from watching Taskmaster. And I think screens have evolved to become such a wide variety of things that actually like watching a movie can be a really
Oh, yeah.
dedicated, intentional, maybe frictiony thing, right? Where you have to be like, where do I find the movie? Are we going to, you know, like
Well, we
even
just
that
took the
process?
kids. Yeah, we just took the kids last weekend. Our local like nonprofit, this awesome movie theater showing E.T. And my younger kid, and it's like a place that means a lot to me and David, and we've gone there so many
What's that
times.
theater called? That place is
The
great.
Hollywood
Yeah.
Theater.
Yeah.
And like we just love it so much. And our younger is obsessed with ET. Like she
Oh my God, that's
loves it
cute.
so much. And she'll do the like
Oh my
like kind of
God.
on command.
Nellie's
I
the
feel a
best.
little bit bad about it, but we'll ask her to do it because she'll go, I'll be right here. And
Oh,
like
I see a Halloween costume coming up.
she made
Whole
our favorite
family.
bartender cry by doing that. She
That's
was
a
like,
beautiful sentence,
I know.
Miranda.
So anyway, but we
So
took
you
the
went to
kids to
see
see it,
E.T.
and our
Yeah.
older kid has a lot more fear about movies, and the movie's got some scary parts, right? And so we were like a little bit nervous about how it would go, but we were so excited to take them to this meaningful place to us and to like, there was a lot of stuff that we tanked, right? Like it's like watching a movie at 2 p.m., not great for the moods at 5 p.m. Like there's just like so many things. But we sat there and like the kids were between us and I almost started crying because I was like, oh my God, we've been coming to this place. I saw Neverending Story there when I was 7. And like there's all these, and then we were sitting there with these two kids in between us, and I was like totally overcome. And we kept checking on our older kid to make sure that he was okay, like during the movie. And he finally was like, when we walked out, we were like, well, what did you think? How was it? And he was like, you guys wouldn't stop bothering me and asking if I was scared, and I wasn't scared. Oh, okay.
You know what a movie theater is? One of the last places where people are not on their phones.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
Well, this makes me think of, and like the ghost of children future here to tell you, and this is super, super depressing. Like I teach like 18-year-olds, like kind of first year college students. And I've talked to them about this a lot. They don't watch movies without being on their phones. They like, I mean, if you're in a movie theater, yes, but a lot of, they're mostly watching movies at home. And in the classroom, when we watch like a half an hour, excerpt of a documentary, I'm like, put your goddamn phones away for the millionth time. And like, I've asked them afterwards, like, so does that feel weird to you? like to just watch the movie. And they all were like, yeah, that's not what we do. And so I totally agree. And I mean, it's a little bit of like a sad state of affairs, but like, I think that if you're with your family watching, like we watch The Office as a family, that's like our family show. And it's like one of the true
British
joys
or
of my life right
American?
now. American.
Interesting.
British is too dark for me.
Wow,
I
we see
find
where
it
your allegiances
sad.
lie,
No, I
Canada.
find it kind of sad too.
It's too sad. I don't think my kids would like British, but like we like The Office has become like a really, and I think this is true for a lot of families. Like The Office has become like a book that families read together, and the characters are so important, and people talk about them. Like my kids refer to Michael Scott. He's like part. I mean, it's our monoculture, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I like cherish that time, and the phones are not in use at that time. And if anyone is breaking that rule, it's me. And like, I'll have my phone, and my kids are like, will you please not? Like, you loser. And I'm like, yes, like, you're right. Sorry.
It's those text
And so I do think that,
damn it. That's what breaks my focus with the kids when I'm like, oh, I just got to respond to this mom. And I'll find myself trying to explain like, well, it's so-and-so's mom. And she's asking about the play date tomorrow and I'm doing it for you. And then I'm like, oh, I could not, like, I could just turn it off.
yes.
And I've been trying to
The slurrification, you guys. This is me too. It's like, oh, yeah, it's almost always like someone's texting me about a plan that I'm responsible for, you know, confirming or like implicating myself in somehow. So I feel this urgency of like, oh, I have to write back. They're waiting to hear from me. It's like they could wait 45 minutes. My God. Like, it's not that urgent.
So the woman who wrote, you know, oh my gosh, I'm totally blanking on her name. The motherhood pause woman.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about. I'll find it. I'll link it in the thing.
3 women in their 40s trying to remember a name.
Power pause. Thank you. I interviewed her. Anyway, so she turns her phone off through the whole bed. I mean, her kids are little, but so she turns it off from like 5 to 9 p.m. And I have started doing that. And it just occurred to me the other day. I was like, I could turn it. I've been putting it in a drawer, but I was like, I could turn it all the way off. I'm going to do that. And I turn it all the way off. And
you're creating some friction. Like in order to do something, you would have to turn it on.
It's just so delightful. And I will sometimes, it's kind of new. So sometimes I'll go pick it up and flip it over. And then like, oh, right, it's off.
I have to say, I think I was really good at doing that, and that was a lot easier for me like a couple years ago. And I think that my brain was pretty mushy a couple years ago, but now I can really feel the mental slop and just kind of like the difficulty with attention. Like it's hard for me to watch a show. I do have a deep relationship with movies. So like that's a container that I really respect, whether I'm at home or not, is like I don't want my phone near me for a movie. Like I'm like, this is a holy experience. But for shows and stuff, yeah, just like your students, it's like I'm bored. I can't. Yeah. Okay. Well, tell us more, Kathryn, about like what
did we land? What does friction maxing look like for you?
So yeah, I mean, I'm taking a long sort of journey around to it. But like to assert that certain times of day are for certain things is, I think, a basic form of friction now, because it's the kind of thing that if it's not happening automatically, like our culture isn't enforcing anything in this regard for us in a way that like our parents did not have to assert this in the same way. Like there wasn't this undertow of like attention suction. I'm like really mixing my metaphors. That kind of made it hard for them to be like, okay, no, like, you know, this is the time that we do this, because they were just kind of around. You know, they were at work or they were home, whatever.
Yeah. But
I do think that there's a requirement, a responsibility to assert, like, we're doing this now at different times of day, which is creating a form of friction, because it's basically saying, listen, I have to kind of keep all of this convenience technology. And it's basically just like booking things, checking things, replying to things.
Yeah.
And just saying like, I'm not doing this right now. But okay, so there's that. But then of course there's also just like, why is it that all of these human experiences that have to do with just kind of like the state of being human. So obviously there's like waiting for things. There's like enduring time's passage in all different kinds of contexts. There's like struggling to do something that, like reading something, honestly, or like, figuring out where you are in
Yes.
space. Like
Yes.
all of these are just things that humans have been doing for our entire species history, except for reading, which is more recent. And suddenly these are things that we have like default consented to not having to do. And we would rather allow another, like an AI usually, or like, an app to do it for us. And I guess I was just in that column, I was like, I just don't think that we've all consented to the fact that all of this is annoying and sucks. Like, I think some of it is good and fun, or at the very least, like neutral, but like fundamentally kind of humanizing.
Yeah,
And
I
there
love
has been
trying to
this
figure out where
assumption.
I'm going, but I can't do that anymore. It's
Yeah,
like
or
it's
like
been
I'm
yeah.
thinking about a dinner party. Like we have this group, and when something comes up, it's like, what was that guy in that one movie? And we've got this wonderful member of the little group who's always like, no one look it up. Like,
Yeah,
you are
that's
not allowed to look it up.
well, that's the thing I do for my kids. I call it Strangerpedia. And I'm like, you have to ask a stranger if we're out, like, see if the next person knows like the height
That's
of
awesome.
Mount Kilimanjaro.
Right.
Or you have to you can call someone we know.
Phone a
like,
friend.
who knows that, right? Like,
Yeah.
Uncle Ben knows a lot about basketball. Let's ask him before we look up who won the title
that's a
a couple
beautiful
years ago.
friction maxing.
But it's like, that's just the thing. I it works for me too, because I like talking to people and it does kind of drive them crazy. But okay. But you were saying there's an assumption that we want this. Like the
Right.
tech, right. There's an assumption that this is good for us to be removed, to be given, what I'm thinking about too is that there's an assumption that removing this friction from our schedules, from our brains, like our cognitive load, will releases humans to do the things that humans were meant to do, like amazing things. But that's not what's happening.
No.
That's a misapprehension. Like, that's just not, I just think that's some dudes like had that idea.
Yeah.
And they're fucking wrong.
It's a
like,
sales pitch, right? Like, that's all it is.
It's not true.
Right.
And it turned out we kind of need those little things to keep our skills sharp. Like, yes, nobody wants to like calendar, but actually some of that at least is doing something for us.
Yeah.
But I also think like the skills are important. And I think you're absolutely right that like our cognition starts to kind of suffer when we don't have to like keep track of time and things. But also like there's something kind of that transcends like instrumental value here, which is just that like this is like literally the stuff of life. You know what I mean? Like this is what it means to be a human being. And like you experience, I think, and maybe I am going back to instrumental value, but like we build our capacity, like our capacity grows when we're like kind of rubbing up against, difficulties and limitations and frustrations. And it's true that like people who don't experience a lot of everyday frustration are the biggest crybaby losers in the world. Like inconvenience and like managing kind of minor inconveniences and kind of overcoming. This is like how we become like wise and mature as humans. And, I just don't see any value in not having those experiences. I just think it makes us like it diminishes us in like every way.
Yeah.
And
well,
I mean, and I think we see this.
I was just going to say, we started this episode asking you like, how connected you are to yourself, or I forget how we put it, but I think that in my own life, I have, picked up this meditation practice, and I go to yoga a lot and stuff, which is a practice of connection to self, right? Like, and if you buy into the whole philosophy, which I do, like connection to greater something, whatever that is, like it would be sort of like ultimate consciousness. And so I think that our life more than ever doesn't allow time and space for people to do that thing, which is, yeah, like, what does it mean to be human? And I guess I'm gonna die one day, and what does that mean about, like, what I'm doing right now? Like,
Right.
and I think that honestly, I think about death a lot, and I like, it helps me be a better parent to be like, you know, I do have this text to respond to, but my beautiful 4-year-old is sitting right in front of me. And even if she's screaming at me or whatever, like, the screaming is less painful for everyone if I'm fully engaged in that moment with her. And not to say it's not okay to dissociate sometimes, but like, it does get better when I put my attention into just what's right in front of me for real. And it's also like being fully present it can be uncomfortable, it can be all these things, but it's much more rewarding generally than like the fractured sort of doing a million things. And then you get to the end of your day and you crawl in bed and you're like, what just happened to me?
Oh God,
Am I
oh
unhappy?
no.
Could it
Oh
be?
no, Miranda, that just really, I feel really called out and I don't like that.
I'm sorry.
No, but that's it. It's like the accumulation of your days, and all these days are just like, what just happened to me? Like, what what is life?
Yeah.
When that's what you're living. And I find that very, very relatable.
And it
Okay,
doesn't
but I
have
just
to
want
be
to
that way,
call
right? I
something
think to
out.
push back, right? To say,
Yes.
this has been done to me
Yes.
on purpose by people who want to get rich, and they're
Yes.
stealing
And I'm not
my
gonna.
one wild and precious life, right? Like, they are. And like, you got to push back. You got to take your time and literally your attention. Like, we talked about this before too, but where you put your attention is where you're investing your time.
Yes, and
And
it's where things grow. Okay, but I need to push back. Okay,
yeah.
not just because is that Mary Oliver?
Oh,
We
Wild
like
and Precious Life, yeah.
Yes, I do love
There was a
Mary
wink. There
Oliver,
was a wink
but
there.
you're really playing the part that I'm gonna challenge here, which is like I nothing you're saying feels wrong to me, like about that
The
it
fact that we're
is.
all gonna die one day.
That I
Death is
take
coming
issue
for you,
with.
Sarah.
I don't like it when you say that. But no, this piece about like it's always better to kind of in the long run, it's always better to be present for your screaming kid than it is to dissociate.
It's for you. The presence is for
Right.
you. It's not for
No,
your
no, no.
kid.
Yes, I think that's an important distinction.
Yeah.
But like I'm thinking too about like DoorDash. Okay, like that's a place that we're all like relieving friction, right? And it's fascinating because
I
like
can't afford DoorDash, Sarah.
well, I was hearing a story about like how many young people who make $20 an hour spend $40 on a DoorDash lunch. And it's because like partly because they're like, whatever, what is life? Is the world even going to exist? I don't fucking care. But also because I think, to Kathryn's point, it's become the default. Right? It's like you have to really work to not do that. And there's an insidious way that all of these systems, especially on the business side, make it actually more and more full of friction to make a different choice, right? Like DoorDash gets rid of other takeout services restaurants are shutting down, right? And so it's like you're like, well, nothing's close now. I've got to do DoorDash, right? The Amazon effect of like now I don't have a local pharmacy I can walk to because everybody does Amazon. So now I have to do Amazon. Okay. But DoorDash, right? A lot of times I don't DoorDash so that I can do something beautiful and wonderful, right? Like this is the thing where like, it's not true that it allows me then to like, I'm not like getting DoorDash so that because like, I'm like, you know what, honey, let's not make dinner tonight so that I can build a birdhouse with you. It's like, I am usually getting DoorDash so I can continue to be trash. But when we are talking about parents who are, overworked, I am like always talking to moms about taking shortcuts, right? Like I'm always talking to moms, especially like moms of neurodivergent kids and being like, listen, maybe for your autistic kid, being at the museum for half an hour is the limit. And if you want to enjoy that with him, you're going to have to take an Uber home. Don't also do the bus. Like, save it
Mm-hmm.
for the good part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that's where some of the friction mashing conversation, like, I see the alienation, right? So Kathryn, how do you reconcile the fact that, like, I think parents do have a ridiculous load and they do need some help with the fact that we don't want to just keep like feeding, missing out on our lives and also getting our kids used to like absolute, smooth everything.
Yeah, it's really I'm actually glad you asked that because so I think that the reason if I was going to like try to understand or guess why this article was like hit for people, I
Mm-hmm.
think it was because it was a way of talking about like a very familiar topic, which kind of what we've been talking about, sort of attention and also the effect of screens, and framing it instead of a let's not do this. Instead, it kind of reframes it as an affirmative, like let's do
Mm-hmm.
this
Yes.
instead, rather than
Yes.
this kind of same old like technology sucks and we hate it. It's like, well,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
there's things that we love about ourselves, and let's focus on those things. So I think
Right.
that
And
was
it's bad for your kids. So stop now. And
right,
then
and
you
it's
feel the
bad for your
guilt and
kids.
shame. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And there was I think, some magazine published kind of like a rebuttal, and they were like, well, this really feels like it's coming from a place of privilege. And this feels like
Oh,
it's not relatable. If you are a DoorDash, delivery person, like where does friction maxing really have a role in your everyday experience? And like, I mean, that to me, like, I find that a little bit of like the kind of privilege argument I find a little predictable because I'm like, first of all, people like poor people deserve to feel humanized as much as rich people, if not more. And like everyone is actually human and dehumanized in the same way. There is a way in which this kind of transcends class. And it's
yes.
true that, if you are a DoorDash employee, like your kind of, discretionary time is different than, mine, for example. But you still deserve to have this kind of dignified experience of human life, and it's accessible to you. It is on some level. And I would say that, I mean, because we're as humans, like I think dignity should be and fundamentally is accessible to all of us, in some way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is
Yeah.
why a lot of people, are very religious because they seek and find dignity through religious practice, for
Right.
example.
Right.
But like to your point about like, for example, like a totally like overextended parent of like a neurodivergent child who's seeking out, you know, shortcuts. I think that's like 100% all to the good. Because I also don't think that like we need to apply friction maxing as some kind of like, you know, like an orthodoxy. Like I
Right.
think that shortcuts are great, and like everyone is really trying to just like get their kid through like these milestones and difficult years, and like we are just trying to get over the hump a lot of the time. But also even that parent who is like, god damn it, like my day is stressful and I'm just looking for these little glimmers where I'm not like in active kind of crisis management mode, or like my affective state isn't like heightened all the time, like I just want to be able to bring it
Yeah.
down. Even that person, I think, just to say, listen, like your humanity is like active and alive in there. And like there is a corner of your life that you can preserve for you. And there's, I mean, like very quickly, and it's funny that you brought up like your yoga practice and your meditation practice, Miranda, because like I very quickly like kind of go into this weird religious place, which like I'm not religious. Like I don't practice any religion, but I'm like, there is a sanctity to like our consciousness.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone can like access a moment where they're like, even if it's like, half an hour before you fall asleep at night, where you're like, I'm not going to look at my phone because I'm going to just like stare out the window and like watch the like car headlights make shapes on my wall. And I'm going to like think
I
about what
love
it felt like
those
to be 13.
shapes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I
Like
find those
Mm-hmm.
shapes very evocative and nostalgic.
this
Yeah.
is
Well, I
human
think the
life.
secular, right, the secular, I really believe in like the secular sacred, right? Like the kind of something can be holy, something can be sacred. It doesn't have to be tied into like a religious like a codified religion. I think that we've all experienced, like Immanuel Kant calls it the sublime, right? Like I think we can all access that, and I think it's essential that we do. It's also reminding me what you're saying about the finding a corner for it. Like Megan Pryor, the pediatrician who is Itty Bitty Revolution on Instagram, she works with families who are incredibly crunched. Like they are those families where a lot of her care for them is, okay, you don't get off work till 10:30 p.m. Your daycare drop off is at 6 a.m. Your toddler needs to go to bed. How are we going to make this work? And she was saying that even for those families, a lot of times what she talks about is finding 10 minutes to just be with your kid. Just 10 minutes, or maybe it's 5 to start. And like just looking for that moment to enjoy your child and kind of, like without pressure, but just to kind of, I think she's giving permission for them to carve that out, to take a moment of joy in this you know, relatively fleeting moment of like being a parent of a young child, or a
I also
teenager or
think
whatever.
when you're talking about kind of religion and like sublimeness, I think if I have a religion, it's other people. It's just that like it's people. It's that like I think people are godly, and I think like the connections we make with other people are sublime, and it's not easy. And again, like I'm wary of condescending. I'm wary of telling someone in a really tight spot, like, just build a relationship with your neighbors. But I do think there's some value there, and it is another way that we are being trained to be frictionless. And I don't think it's innocent. It's quite nefarious, actually, is like the more that people use DoorDash, the less they, have to ask a neighbor to cook for them, when they're ill. It's like and those fraying those relationships is good for bad people.
Oh,
And I also
Yes.
think, I I think that parent that we're talking about that's in a really tough spot, it's like I want them to be conscious of the fact that what will really help them is if they can develop a social network that can support them, right? If they can find somebody that can give them rides, right? Like the ride to the museum, and that'll not only make things more convenient, but also make them more fulfilled and build relationships for their child who might be especially vulnerable. So I see that too, like in my Strangerpedia example, as in conflict with this passive frictionlessness, is that it
yeah.
often leads to us not relying on other people in a meaningful way, right? It's
Mhm.
more this transactional. And it's like not every time you need an Uber, you can't call a friend. I get it. But like to be aware, sometimes I really will like make that choice to be like, okay, I could order out. I'm going to ask my friends if anybody has extra food for tonight and
Mhm.
see, and then I'm in relationship with people.
I think that is, that speaks to the degree to which these kind of technologies of frictionlessness are built on like a fear of the uncontrollable,
Right.
right? Because it's like, and this is all of our communication technologies now are kind of seeking to control outcomes and making it easier to feel in control, like texting. And again, I'll go back to my college students, like they talk a lot about how when you're texting as a kind of the main communication form in your relationships, it gives you time to compose your answer. Like it's a lot easier to feel in control of the interaction because, you have time and you don't have to face them and your face isn't betraying you. And, there's so many ways that when we
Mm.
communicate face to face, unspoken things are communicated
Yeah, or
and
you
they
might
like,
say something that you immediately regret, and then you have to like
right.
repair that.
Then you have to be accountable.
Yeah.
And, I do think that like being practiced in coping with the fundamental uncontrollability of other people in all ways. Like if I ask this person for help, they might say no. It's
Mhm.
okay. We're going to move on. Like, if I go and talk to that stranger as part of my Strangerpedia, they might like find it weird and like give me a weird look. And that's also,
My kids might hide behind a rock
right. Like
to
there's
not
just
be
so many,
associated with me.
when we deal with other people, we're entering into a world of uncontrollability.
Yeah.
And I think that the more we do it, the easier it is. And it's just like practice, you know, but I think that when we're in a world of frictionlessness, we become less and less accustomed to that. And it's like enormously costly. Like it just, I think for kids, it's like so important to be like, no, it's cool. Like just go talk to them. Like, I mean, it's like so hard. Like my 15-year-old right now is trying to get a job for the summer, and he's like having to go and talk to people at these businesses. And it's so embarrassing. But I'm like, you're doing it. And like the first time he went, he was like, what do I say? Like literally, what do I say? And I like told him what to say. And I was trying to remember, I'm like, what did I like? Did my parents like tell me what to say? I don't know. Maybe it was so long ago. But like, you know, the more you do it now, he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go over there. And, you know, it's just practice.
Yeah.
Well, and you have to resist like the passive choice as a parent. I don't know all the details, but would be to like send an email on your kid's behalf, you know? And it's like, no,
Totally.
you have to work to resist that. And I do just want to say it is hard and it's confusing. Like you talked about in your original article, location sharing, which I find very confusing. I guess it's like, I think it's not as much of a practice with Android phones, and we are an Android family. But so I just learned recently that like a lot of couples location share automatically with their iPhones, and then a lot of parents do it with their kids. And I do understand, you know, I've heard the argument that like it reduces the need to get your kid a phone because you know where they are. I also just find it, I find the frictionless of it suspect. You know, I'm like, I don't trust this thing for that. This is good for us. So I'm thinking about that too as something like you'd have to, it's kind of weird maybe and scary to turn off location sharing with your kid.
It's also, I'm getting a little bummed, like, because I love what we're saying. I think we all really agree. I bet most of the people listening really agree. But when I butt up against like dominant culture and the number of people who do casually welcome like friction reduction technology into their lives, I feel sometimes really in the minority. And I was talking to my husband about, he's bitching about the state of the world the other day. And I was like, the only thing that comforts me right now is like, we don't know the future. And so I
that
guess
could be good.
When I get it could go well. We've been in what feels like the darkest timeline for a long time here in the United States, but it could turn around. But I don't know. I mean, what do you think, Kathryn? Do you feel like you're shouting into the void, or do you feel like there's hope for us yet,
or at least company?
I feel like there's hope. Okay. I do like the location tracking thing. That's something like I will carry this torch to my grave. Like I really feel very strongly about it. And I do feel like I'm in the minority and people are really secure in their choices. And they're like, well, you're nuts. And I talked about this in my live event in New York. And in fact, I could see people's faces when I was like, I don't track my kids. And I am going to say, I don't think you should either. I don't think you should. People are like, And it's because it's such an obvious choice, the safety of children. Like, obviously, we can all agree that it's the most important thing.
Sure.
But I also think that like privacy is it's like such a human, like talking about dignity. It's very important. It's fundamental. And I feel that I deserve it. I insist on it. I'm like, you cannot know where I am. Like, I absolutely refuse to let anyone track me. Sometimes like a friend will be like, can I share your location? Because they're like picking me up at the airport. And I'm like, fine, jerk. But like, you know, it's going to expire in an hour and you better be here before then. Like, I really don't like it. And I think that all we can do is talk about it. And it always astonishes me how in the busyness of life for parents, so many super smart, incredibly insightful people just haven't had the time to think about it at all.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah. You're
so
just
many
doing
times
the
where a parent
default.
has been like, damn, I've just never thought about this until
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like, thanks for bringing it up. And like, they'll think about it and then they'll come to their own conclusion. But like, I just think that for a lot of people getting through the day, it does not include time to be like, what do I think about the Life 360 app that I have downloaded on my phone? They're just like, yeah,
What's
this is normal. It is. It's
Oh
mass
no,
culture.
what's
It's
that?
hegemony.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think people are very capable of changing their minds and making up their minds. They just like literally aren't given like half a chance to do it.
Well,
So
I've been. Oh, go ahead.
I told Miranda this, but I hosted a couple weeks ago a 3-hour meeting for like the parents of my 4th grade son's friends. We all know each other pretty well. We spend a lot of time together, but it was kind of loosely inspired by Ruth Whitman's book Boy Mom, which like a dad and I read a couple years ago. And, we all have like boys who are friends, but and we had the kids at another house with one babysitter who we pulled in on and pizza. And we just like reflected on being parents.
That's
And
cool as hell.
yeah,
Wow.
and like I didn't have super an agenda. It was kind of like, what's one thing that you're enjoying about your kid now? And then some time to reflect on like, how do you, when you think about your kid when they're 18, like, what do you want for them? And what do you think are like barriers and supports for that? And then, at the end, we kind of talked a little bit about like, how can we support each other? And I think one of those things was thinking about one parent put this so beautifully, like, I want less surveillance for my kid in real life and more surveillance for them online. Not location tracking, but like I don't want them to be allowed to go to any website, and I don't want them to have a smartphone right now and all of that.
Not get red
And
pilled.
so, yeah. And then the question was like, how can we do that? How can
Mhm.
we support each other with that? So like in terms of location sharing, it's like, well, there is a family who lives closer to the school than we do. And so, maybe it's like that kid's house could be a place that kids could walk to without their locations being shared, without an adult, and kind of hub there and get picked up later or something, and not have to go like the kind of the frankly pretty dangerous route under the freeway to the other homes where maybe people would want to be tracking them or want them to have phones or something. And so it's not like we like figured it out perfectly, but one thing was to like Kathryn, that everyone was like, wow, we see each other all the time and we do talk about our parenting, but like I have never had a space to just take a minute and be like, what do I want? What am I choosing passively and actively? And then also there's this piece of like, let people support you to handle the friction, and to choose friction.
Yeah, and as they get
That's
older
awesome.
to have
Yeah,
that
it was cool.
conversation, right? When
Yes,
the
we
peers
decided we want to
become
do it like every year or twice a year or something.
Yeah,
And
and
now we
like
have a model for it.
it feels very soothing, like as peers become more important to know that you're aligned with your kids, families. I think
That's
it's a similar, like we're having this big conversation in Portland about AI in schools and like everywhere. But I have been heartened, like I've gotten really involved. Now I'm starting the Portland chapter of Schools Beyond Screens, and the momentum around that, which is parent and teacher driven, across the country. Like Distraction Free Schools has this huge tracking legislation and school board resolutions across the country. And it's coming from the bottom up. It's coming against the push, against the kind of dominant tech bro culture. And it's pretty powerful. And parents and teachers are quite aligned, and they're fighting districts and they're fighting within government structures as well, like which has been cool and has given me a lot of hope. Like the level of engagement, even just in Portland, connecting with other parents who have been working on this too, kind of in isolation. But it got so bad when the district rolled out this policy that was basically like, yay, AI K through 12. Like, wouldn't it be great if they brainstormed for their essays with a chatbot? And basically every parent is like, no. And every teacher is also like, no. And
No, that not learning.
no.
Kathryn, what's the relationship? I know how you feel about AI, or what is the relationship your teenagers and like your college students have to it?
Yeah, I mean, like, so my 15-year-old, he like, yeah, he knows how I feel. I he uses AI, he uses ChatGPT to create study guides. He uses it to study,
Yeah.
like to generate like problem sets for his trigonometry. And
Mm-hmm.
that I'm kind of like, okay, if you want to use it to like make a little test for yourself, I'm okay. That's just generative AI, but like I can't really I'm sure if I spent enough time with it, I could come up with a good reason not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, for now, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and we're like, a writer family. It's unthinkable to me that he would ever use AI to create a document, to like write something original or to write an essay. I don't think he's ever done that. But like he definitely could really easily. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's not like,
it's taking more
Mm-hmm.
and more to resist that.
yeah, I mean, like my students, so basically I teach humanities, which is a requirement at the college that I teach at. So everybody has to take 3 humanities classes. So I get everybody. It's like a cattle call. I get the kids who are there for all the
Yeah.
programs.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want to be there because it's not, I really have to fight to make it appealing. So the first year after ChatGPT came out, it was just a nightmare because all I was getting was AI writing. And I just was like, it was such a horrible experience. So I had to, like so many other people, change my whole pedagogy. And now we only write in class. There's no take home assignments. And
Yeah.
they're writing longhand unless they have an
Mm-hmm.
accommodation and they can use their laptop. And then we're reading in class because now AI summarizes your PDFs. So we're reading and we're writing in class. It's very old fashioned. And I'm printing out freaking,
Mm-hmm.
printing out readings and handing them out. And we're talking about them. So we're reading, we're writing, we're discussing in class. So at this point, and I know that if I didn't do that, everything would be written with ChatGPT. And the funny thing is, like, I teach in Montreal. I'm going to say half my students, English is not their first language. It's French or it's something else. They speak a very distinct kind of Montreal English that is very native to this place. And most of them speak a little bit like this. I don't speak like that. And I tell them on like day one, I'm like, dudes, you don't talk like ChatGPT. I
Yeah.
do because I'm trained up and also I'm part American. You guys have a distinct way of speaking and I love it so much. And I can tell it's not you. Like your writing sounds like you. I want to hear
Mm-hmm.
your way. And so that's, I think, kind of it's a benefit for me because I can tell when it's not them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it's tough, man. I don't know. So, but I've become it's given more meaning to my work than it's ever had.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm on a crusade. Like, and my husband and I talk about this. He has the same job as me. He's a teacher. He's a prof. And like, we're like, this job has never felt more important to be like,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to
Mm-hmm.
read, you're going to write, you're going to talk, you're going to ask me questions.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to come
Yeah.
up with them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
It's
fundamental.
also actually like
Mm-hmm.
it's not it's aligned with some educational philosophies. Like it's kind of like what we'd call like the flipped classroom of like that you can study some content outside of class, right? That's what homework is for, like getting the lecture basically, because you could do that anywhere. But class time is for evaluating and like that kind of higher order thinking, that we do that together in class where we need that scaffolding, and
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
actually it's that kind of our traditional Western way of like class time is for lecture is a waste of a so that it's interesting. Like I don't think it's all bad. Like sometimes not to use the AI, but to have the system disrupted by it, by not wanting to use it, creates other things.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
feeling terrible right
That's
now
so
about it
interesting.
all.
Well, we've got
But
to let you go. What do you have any culture recommendations other than, of course, should we just ask Claude?
Can I share one? I want to share one while
Yeah,
Kathryn
what are
warms
you
up.
yeah.
liking in the culture
We
these
just
days? What's
watched the
more in
first
depth?
episode of the Zach Galifianakis gardening show.
This is not a gardening show
Or this
thing?
is
Oh
a gardening
wow.
show. Yeah,
Oh,
whatever it is. And they're like 10, 15-minute episodes. They're like his little farm out on the island near Vancouver Island. And I don't know, he's just this they're just delightful. They're like so delightful. And speaking of like friction maxing, he's like really trying to push, and it involves kids. Like there's kids in the show. Um and it feels like it reminds me of what Caitlin Tier has talked about on here, where it's like you have to fall in love with the world in order to want to save the world. And it feels very much coming from that perspective of like, he's arguing that our only future is an agrarian future. Like there is this like dark undercurrent,
Wow.
but it's very joyful because it's him. And so it's beautiful. It's making me feel really good.
Wow. Man, I'm going to check that out. I love that.
Yeah.
My recommendation, and I saw it like a couple months ago, but I just keep thinking about it. It's the latest Jim Jarmusch movie called Mother, Father, Sister, Brother.
Yeah. I keep looking it up and not knowing, being like, father, stepmother, auntie.
I want to know your take on it because I'm mixed, but where did you land?
Well, like Jim Jarmusch it's a little bit like, he was a real icon for me when I was like in high school. Like it kind of like the first like arty,
like Coffee and Cigarettes, that movie.
Yeah, and like Night on Earth. I love that movie so much. Obviously, Down by Law.
I like Mystery Train.
Mystery Train, yes. So like it's very nostalgic for me because it brings me back to when I was young. And he, like a true Gen X legend, he really hasn't changed. He's still making movies as though it was 1992.
Yeah, bless
which
him.
I guess I'm like,
yes.
I'm like, thank you, And so the pacing is slow. It's like he just graduated from film school and he's making the same. And I don't mean that as a diss, but it's true that like, I could see someone being like, this is like not that good. But there's a vignette with Tom Waits as the dad and Adam Driver and Mayim Bialik as the children.
Yes.
And that one in particular, it felt really real to me. And I like how, just in friction maxing wise, there's a lot of silence in the film. It really actually requires that you be attentive. I saw it in the theaters alone. And so I was just really in the soundscape, and just like Tom Waits is kind of like articulate kind of grumbling that he does in his old man role is just like, I just felt that it was very moving, and it stuck with me in this kind of almost like at a level of embodiment that I can't shake. But that being said, like parts of it, I'm like, this is like mid.
The second half, the last vignette, I was like, I could live without this. But
I know it was like a little too fashionable.
Fine.
Like everything was too kind of smooth and chic, and I didn't feel it. I needed more like ugliness.
You like that grit.
It was like a bait and switch. Like the first part was so good, and then it just was like.
Can I share the 3 books I'm reading in different formats? Right now?
Yes.
I'm reading like a regular book from the library. Have you read this, Miranda? Claire Detter's Poser?
Yes, of course.
It's
like my number one favorite book.
Did you read this, Kathryn?
I should read that.
It's like
I haven't read it. I love her.
Yeah, it's like a book about kind of, it's about yoga, but really about like becoming a mother.
Yeah.
And her writing is just so good.
She has a new book coming out. Are we worried about this a little bit?
About Bob Dylan?
It's co-written with her husband, and it's like a Bob Dylan. I'm a little nervous. I love her so much, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm nervous.
Well, this one's good. I reckon it's short passages too. Like if you don't have a lot of time, you can still take 5 minutes to read a chapter.
Yeah.
Yes, and then I've been listening. My dizziness has been acting up, so I can't always read. I've been listening to Adult Braces, the Lindy West novel. I think I am here to say that I think that it's not a novel, memoir. That it is. I think the discourse.
Speaking of open marriages,
I think it's one of those cases where the discourse does not accurately reflect the content, the original content. I am really enjoying this book. I'm finding it nuanced. I don't know. I'm not done yet. And she is so fun.
Takes.
She reads it and she's so funny.
Yeah.
I gotta get into it. I gotta get into it.
You gotta read. I think you gotta go to the original source and just make your own judgments. Because if people don't know, there's been a lot of like drama about kind of
I don't
basically
know who
piling
is listening
on
to
her.
this podcast that doesn't know. about the
it's true.
Lindy West.
And then sometimes my husband and I got Lauren Groff's new book of short stories, Brawler, and he read the first one aloud to me last night. And we've been trying to read, like, short stories are really good to read out loud to people.
Okay,
to each
speaking
other.
of friction maxing, do you guys know that she writes longhand?
Yes, I did know
like
that.
5 drafts, like her first 5 drafts, and she'll like write it and throw it out, and then like write it and throw it out.
She's a real special person.
She's a baller. Like attention, right? Like speaking of like time and attention,
she's one of my favorite writers.
Made me reevaluate my whole life basically to learn that.
Oh my God.
Well, your students, they'll be able to do that. It's Kathryn.
I know, right?
Right, the
future Lauren Groff.
I know. Okay. Well, we're so grateful for your time. It is always a pleasure. Thank you for getting into the nuance, maybe alienating, people, ourselves, whatever. We don't care.
Happy summer.
You guys are the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good times.
Thanks for listening to the mother of it all. And like my mom always said, I don't want to tell you where I am.